So, good morning, everybody. It's great to see you here, both the people from Israel, the native Israelis, and all the guests. And two things that I want to say. I'm the CTO. I love what I'm doing. And Ofer talked before about innovation and other people. That's what I do for a living, and it's fun. And to me, innovation, it's not just having great ideas, but making sure that all those great ideas turn into products that real people are using. That's, for me, is innovation, and of course, business success. So, without any further ado, okay, it's you. Let's start. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to start with cybercrime. And it's not news that almost every week, every day, we hear about a new cyber attack. And this is just few attacks that happened in the last 2 years. And obviously, I don't expect you to remember all of them. But let's focus on some of the most recent ones. This was a representative, actually, attack on, happens to be on British Airways. But someone installed there a very tiny piece of code, which resulted in the breach of 380,000 records of British Airways customers. Now, it's not a big number relative to millions, but each record like this is worth a lot of money in the underworld. Why? Because obviously the people that are use British Airways, especially the top ones, have a lot of money in their accounts. Now, this is another interesting thing because we see that in the past it was very easy to just steal credit cards and use them, and this was called card-present attacks. However, in recent years, with all the advance in the credit card that you have a chip, etc., it's become much more difficult to do a card-present attack. Therefore, most of the attacks are card not present, which means that the people are the thieves are stealing your credentials that they can use in card not present, internet, etc. And there are many attacks like this. And by the way, the price of the card not present credentials rise to the ceiling. There is obviously, as you know, there is the underground, the underworld. It's a mirror image of the immediate of the legitimate industry. They have their developers, they have their people that are dealing with the marketing, franchise, etc. And obviously, there is a lot of a very rich commercial scene where people are dealing with that. Okay, another. Oh no, what happened? Okay, so another attack, everything is being attacked, and again, the criminals are very, not only they're very technological savvy, they're very economical and business savvy, they're very shrewd businessmen. So obviously like bodybuilding, which happens a few months ago in February, still a lot of records. Another interesting attack is actually happened only 2 weeks ago, Baltimore, with the ransomware. The whole city was completely shut down. And just an attack that happened 3 days ago, and this is one of the most the biggest attack, but it will create its record only for weeks because someone will out-top that. As the first American finance disclosed that the millions, hundreds of millions of records of their customers were stolen. So, and this continue. Why? Because it's very lucrative and it's very beneficial for the people who do it and don't get caught, and many of them don't get caught. Okay. So until now, what we saw attacks on data. This is data or money. This is where most of the attacks happen so far. In the last two years, we started to also see attacks of things, especially with the proliferation of Internet of Things. Okay, so what do fish and tanks and baby monitors and refrigerators have in common? The fact that there are small computers and they're connected to the internet, and this is obviously IoT. Okay? So there were a few famous attacks recently. I'm going to talk one of my favorite attack. You know, when you attack IoT, you can attack the devices, you can attack the center of control, etc. It's really what is your goal as a criminal. And sometimes you want to just leverage the IoT as a vector of entry to the corporate. And that was the attack with the famous attack with the fish tank in one of the biggest casinos in Los Angeles. What happened? They had a really amazing fish tank there, and a fish tank has a small application that could dispose the food for the fish remotely because nobody wants really to go to the fish tank. But this remote access was connected also to the corporate network. Obviously, nobody thought that the fish has anything to hide or any interesting data, so nobody thought to put any means of security there, which was, of course, an error. So someone's leveraged that device for fish disposing food, and from that, they were able to go to the corporate network because it was connected to the corporate network, lateral movement, and got to the database of all the customers of the casino, and they stole it. Okay, and obviously most of you remember the Mirai attack. That was the biggest DDoS attack that leveraged IoT. That happens about a little bit over a year ago. Another interesting attack that I want to talk about it, and that shows innovation. Okay, innovation not of the good community which sits here, but on the very active underground community. Okay, so this is called MedIoT, and MedIoT actually is the manipulation of demand of IoT, and it's actually attacking the power grid. Now, most of the attacks on power grid, like you remember there was a power failure in Brazil or in the US for many days. Usually what they attacked the grid itself, okay? What is innovative, talking about innovation, what is innovating in this attack is that it's the first time that they attack it through the devices. What did they do there? The criminals, they installed a malware there that controls the voltage of the devices. And what happened, apparently, if at one point you increase the power demand from many devices, or decrease it in the same time, the power grid cannot handle it. So that, again, and that's, again, showed the innovation, and it will continue. They are very, very innovative, very tech-savvy. That's why you have to be one step ahead of them. Okay, so we talked about just a little bit in numbers. And this keeps coming up. The cost of breach, when I started following that, which was more than 10 years ago, was less than 1 million. Now in the US, it's 17 million, the cost of the average breach. If we talk about how long it takes before an APT attack, advanced persistent attack, that goes into your corporate network before it gets found, now it's 99 days. By the way, here we improved. It used to be 250 days. I mean the security community. The total damage from cybercrime is going up, and now it's not now, it's going to be, it's predicted that it's going to be in 2022, $8 trillion. It's just, for me at least, it's impossible to imagine such a huge number. Another interesting and less known fact is that the long term, not just the short term effect of cybercrime on the economy, but also the long term effect. Because it turned out in a recent research that 20% of customers that their company experienced an attack will not return to this company. which means that there is a long-term effect in reputation. Okay, trends in cybercrime. So it's interesting to know that, and it's probably not a surprise, that for the past 7 years, there is the director of national security in the US, and every year they publish a report. And they say, what is the biggest threat to the US? For the first 70 years, since 1945, it was nuclear power. Not surprising. Okay? The first time in 2018, for number one, is cyber. Okay? And cyber, it's not just the technological, but also all the effects to the economy, to the society, etc. And nuke went only to number 2, terrorism to number 3. Okay? Another interesting, and it's especially for you as the developers community and the communities in general, is what are the next frontier? Okay, so we talked about breaching data, we talked about breaching things, but the next things is really breaching first reality. And when I'm talking about breaching reality, it's not fake news. Fake news is just a simple thing of telling a lie about something that didn't happen. Okay? Fake reality is much more scary. It's creating really an alternative reality. Okay? And think about it. Like right now we have so many cameras, and if a killer or a thief is caught in one of the security cameras, it's obviously admissible in the court of law. But now it's becoming easy to inject pictures, footage into those cameras. So it's really becoming a reality, because if someone saw you stealing or killing, this is the reality. But it's not reality, it's fake reality. Or you can think what happened if the president of the US or the president of UK, before she left, is meeting with someone that she's not supposed to meet. And this picture is transferred all over the world. Do you know if it's the real picture or the fake picture? The next thing is also breaching humans. Okay, so I'm not just talking about pacemaker and insulin pump, which is again also controlled by the internet. And if you want to hurt someone, you can definitely do an attack on them via the internet. But I'm also talking about simpler things, like we are handling, well, this is actually harmless, but we are having our telephones and our watches that control our wearable devices. And you can do a lot of damage with them, especially if you follow them very, very devoutly. Okay? So that is going to be the next frontier, and again, without even installing a chip in your brain. Okay, so we saw the trends, and now I want to talk about the opportunities and what do we have to, as the good guys, and again, I don't want to get into the philosophy, who's the good guys or on the bad guys, but let's assume for now that the good guys are the ones that are developing all the defense systems in order to stop all those criminals. Okay? And why the cloud is such an important part of that. Okay? So first of all, we talked about the threats, but this is how a typical enterprise looks like. It's not the cozy on-prem environment that we used to have in the past. By definition, your company, if you want to leverage all the advantages that this open world has to offer you, is going to be part in the cloud. It's going to have part of in SaaS, supply chain, which is distributed. So how it usually look? Now, this is if you would show it to a CISO 10 years ago, they think that we are totally crazy, and this is a nightmare. But this is how it looks, okay? And given with all the threats that we had before, it's becoming much more difficult to defend such an unpredictable, dynamic, and distributed environment. And before I say why the cloud, I still want to say that there is a lot of fear from the cloud. And if you will ask average person, they'll say, oh, on-prem is so much important if I want to protect my assets. So first of all, don't confuse me with the facts. Most of the attacks that happen on the on-prem. But that's not the only reason. The only reason, and I'll get into the reason, but before that, let me focus on the concerns from the cloud. Okay? So the first concern is obviously management and visibility. It's very complex, like we saw before, because everything is distributed, everything is dynamic. One day you have 3 VMs on the cloud, the next day you might have 100. It's elastic, it's really, really very elusive. It's really also very difficult to understand what we have in the cloud, and the management sometimes it's complex, etc. And of course, the attacks continue to grow, and also cloud-specific attacks. Okay, so all these concerns, if we want to make sure that we leverage what we have in the cloud, we have to address them. So let's look at several of the things. Okay. So cloud and AI, now to me, cloud and AI, and it's not a coincidence that I'm the CTO of the cloud and AI security, because I see cloud and AI going hand by hand. What you can do with an AI on the cloud, you cannot do on AI on the on-premise or in a closed environment. Okay? And that's why, to me, they are going together. But let's see of some of the advantages that the cloud enable you in this fight. And again, it's a fight, it's a war. It's a war against the criminals that are trying to steal, that are trying to change, that are trying to do all the things that we would like to avoid. Okay. So first of all, as I said, we need to provide visibility. A good cloud has, and they have, cloud providers has the ability to give you the visibility of the things that you have. Just take careful. So first of all, to solve the visibility issue. The second thing is to make sure that you leverage the cloud, which sees a lot of information, and collect a lot of this data, and analyze it from all sources, not only security data. I'll give you an example. Okay? In the cloud, and if you keep your data in the cloud, it's very easy to access, for example, your HR or travel system if they happen to be in the cloud. Now, if someone, right now in Tel Aviv, right? But most of the time, not most of the time, at least 50% in my, of my stay is in Redmond, because Redmond is where the Galactic Hub, where the headquarters of Microsoft, and I'm there a lot, okay? So let's say that today, and I have an office there as well. So let's say that today, someone who's posing as Michal, okay, is trying to go into my account in the Redmond office. And they have the perfect, they stole all my, somehow they stole all my credentials, somehow, okay? It's difficult, but let's say that somehow they did it. But if the security system knows how to access the travel, oh, and Michal is actually not in Redmond today. She is in Tel Aviv. She traveled to Tel Aviv. So that's clear that this is a criminal attack. Okay? So that's why the collective data and all the system, not just the security, but your operational system are extremely important. And in the cloud, it's very easy to connect them. The next thing is, it's also cheaper to do it long term, but I will not get into it. And another thing is that you can, you can connect a lot of the things together. And let me focus on the last thing, which is the cloud effect. So a lot of the things you can say, oh, you can do it also in the on-prem. Yes, you can do it, but it's difficult. What you cannot do in the on-prem, and you can do only in the cloud, is what I call it's a variety of features which I call the cloud effect. And let me just give you one example, but there are many more that I'm happy to talk with you afterwards. Okay? So one thing which is really unique to the cloud, okay? So let's say we discover, in the cloud, and the cloud providers have many tenants, okay? Let's say that we discovered an attack on one tenant, and we marked the digital fingerprints of this attacker. Now, this attacker will now attempt to attack more tenants. However, because we identified his or her digital fingerprints, we will instantly, in real time, now stop the attack to the rest of the tenant. Now, you cannot do it, the immediate, the real-time sharing, you really cannot do it in the on-prem. Now, to me, and not only to me, I think we almost proved it even mathematically, for the interested party, I can show it, is that it's not only if you put your data only in the cloud, it's more secure. That's no-brainer. But what is really important to understand that security systems that are developed in the cloud in order to protect on-prem, in other words, we're talking about hybrid system, you get a much better security in the cloud because you can leverage all the things that I saw before, and that's why the on-prem is benefiting as well. Now, I think that in 5 years, 90% of what we do will be in the cloud, but let's say that I'm wrong, and it's going to be 10 years, so we are going to live in a hybrid world for a long time. Still, to consume security analytics systems that are in the cloud, that protects your hybrid environment, both the on-prem, cloud, and other clouds, this is the way to go. Okay. Coming from Microsoft, I just want to give you some numbers of just now to put some color on that, okay? So again, it's not only Microsoft, other cloud providers can do it as well, if they focus on security, but let's look at the numbers, okay? So I think the numbers are quite impressive, okay? So we have 500 million active users, okay? We have 18 billion, okay, Microsoft accounts that are authenticated every day. This is a daily, this is the daily numbers. We have 150 million attempts to fake identity that you do every day. And of course, we stop 37 million new threats every day. So these numbers on a daily, okay, on a daily, thanks, on a daily, on a daily basis, all of it goes into our AI system. And as you know, what's machine learning is really leverage the data in order to make prediction to the future. Now, predicting from the future is difficult, especially as Neil Bohr said, okay? But the more data you have and the more qualitative data you have, you can make a better prediction. Your AI system can make a better prediction. And the cloud with these numbers give us the ability to do very exact predictions, because one of the biggest challenges of security system is not only to detect the threats and to handle them, but to make sure that the false positive is very low, because otherwise it's crying wolf and nobody will take you seriously. That's why the big data enable us not only to grow up very high in detection, but to go very slow, but to go very low on false positive, and that's what makes it very effective in the cloud. Okay, so let's continue. And just to summarize, so a new art of war is needed, and that art of war, we need to leverage intelligence very highly. We need to leverage machine learning and analytics and partnership. And this is a segue to why communities is so important. Partnership between vendors, partnership between communities. Because like in any war, and as I said already, it's a war, coalition is very important. It cannot be won by itself. And the cloud, powered by the cloud, makes it really the way to go. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is why communities. Don't answer, it's obviously a rhetorical question. Okay? So communities is very important, okay, as I said. And I want to talk about a few of the things that we are doing specific in Microsoft in order to make sure that we, that we leverage this huge power of communities in order to make sure we build better security systems. Okay? So the first thing is API. Okay? Almost all of our products have API access, REST API, etc., that you can leverage and increase them, because no matter what good work we do, if you can expand them by open source or by adding to it, it will be better. We also have the Microsoft Graph API, which is something relatively new, which we expose to you a lot of the threats that we internally found. So not only you can leverage API, but you can also leverage the finding and therefore build a better solution. Another thing, the products that we developed are easily expandable. The most recent one, Sentinel, by the way, which is one of my babies, I initiated it. And also Azure Security Center is another baby, but older one. And Sentinels not only is a great analytics and new generation SIEM in the cloud, but it's also expandable. And it adds you easily to add more and more components that you can develop by yourself. And make sure that it customized to your environment, to the specific problem that you want to solve. And of course, GitHub with the purchase of GitHub, and it's connected now to all our products, so you can leverage GitHub in order to store, share, and everything that you develop. Make sure that you hook to the right communities, and therefore build a better security solution. So all of it together gives you an ecosystem that it's very easy. Okay, so. Okay, what I want to actually end this talk, and also maybe open it to questions. I want, because it's OWASP, because you guys are also looking on the next frontier, not only from technology, but what you should contribute. So I want to give you a few ideas. So the first thing is the edge computing. I know you guys are already looking at IoT, and OWASP is talking about IoT edge, etc. But edge computing is much more than IoT. It's really leveraging the control that you can get from the cloud, but make the edge in the on-prem, again, with close connection to the cloud, much more intelligent. Okay? So it's really optimizing the fact that we have a strong edge in the on-prem, constantly connected to the cloud, but can be controlled the level of independence and sharing, and how do you really do it correctly? Okay? So we have a lot of ideas, but I think that we already just scratch the tip of the iceberg, and I think it's a great and it's a great challenge for you, this community, in order to think about solutions, because there's a lot of problems there that are unique to this situation. It's not really just cloud, it's not really just on-prem, it's not really just IoT, and you have to go deep dive into it, and you will, hopefully, you will have a lot of great ideas. The second interesting thing is functions, and functions and serverless, and Lambda in AWS. Again, it's not only from Microsoft. It's securing Lambda, both on the attacks and serverless and functions. Both of the attacks and also the way you secure it, it's different than you secure VM. It's different than you secure just SaaS, even containers, okay? So it's a lot of research there that still need to be done. And again, another opportunity for this community to go deep and help and be innovative. And the last thing is the API economy. We all know about WAF, Web Application Firewall, and all those older generation protection. It's not enough, because right now everything is so focused on the application, on the API. So if you just leverage the infrastructure, the way of the past to look at gateways, to look at proxy, etc., it's not enough. You have to be really focused on the API economy, API management, and this again a new frontier, and this again something that generates a lot of new ideas, and that's why I would like to make sure that we get help from you guys. Okay, so I try to do it very fast. Do we have time for 2 minutes? 2 minutes, okay. So any questions that, happy to answer any questions now or later.
Hello, there we go. Thank you for that. One thing that really resonated with me that you mentioned earlier on and then elaborated on a bit was this idea of collecting all of the data and being able to apply AI to detect threats in your environment. And the example you gave is, let's say you're not in Redmond, being able to pull data from your travel and all of that.
Correct.
So one thing I wonder though is that the current state of being able to detect threats is already lagging behind, 99 days or so to detect an APT in your environment and all of these other analytics that are right there in front of us, but we're not leveraging. What is that kind of middle point between the sad place where we are today and that ideal place where we're actually able to use AI to ingest and analyze all of that data? So what is that kind of that practical middle ground?
I think I got the questions, so I'll try to help it. So first of all, just about the 99 days, okay, that the average APT exists in the corporate network, okay? The fact that it exists there, okay, is bad, but this is not the worst. The worst is when they get to the Holy Grail, and for them, the Holy Grail is what they attempted, because to penetrate the networking is just a means to an end. You have to understand what they were actually after, okay? Now, if the success of the defense is if we stop them, of course we want to stop the penetration, but this is almost impossible. If they really want to penetrate, they will, okay? In the same way that if a very successful thief, no matter how your castle is closed, they will be able to penetrate your castle, okay? The important thing is that you will stop them before they actually get to the Rembrandt or to DALI or whatever is stored in you, or whatever they want to store, okay? And that's exactly why the continuous monitoring of what happened inside your network and inside your enterprise is important, okay? So let's say that there was even already an APT, which means it exists in my organization undetected for, let's say, 98 days. But what we really want, they wanted to steal my credentials. And if at that point, when they made the mistake, and they accessed and because we accessed the travel system, we were able to stop it. At that point, we discover it, and we stop the whole attack, okay? So that's why it's extremely important. Did I answer the question? Okay.
I think we don't have more time, so.
Okay.
One more question, or no?
So we don't have any more time, but we can get questions at the
Okay.
coffee break that's coming right now.